And I go to Pratt. Let's pass this mic. Do this, and let me say this too. Kings, the conversation might have these questions, but the conversations is about black men. And the fact is that, as Linnell said, as Mark started off with, we got to live in hope. Listen, that we got to live in hope that every person you see down this hallway does not have your best interests. Linnell stated that code switching is damn near a part of your daily. This is your daily way of doing it. Then if we go over here with Ishmael, where he stated, when we gonna get our own? We need to get our own. And last but not least, my brother says it's triggered because you damn near got to be a black man 24 hours a day. Very seldom are you on ease. Very seldom are you at like, well, okay, everything is good unless we around. And even when we around, we gonna have a cocktail, but you still, when you leave out, you got to be, hey, be cool, ride slow. He showed them every piece of legitimacy. Look, I work here, here's that. And the last question is, are you a fugitive? All right? So don't, just because if it splinters off into that, we all good, because that's just as important as what? Because the truth be told, the next 4 years, based on what we've seen, this could become the norm. This could become the precedent. This is the precedent. Go ahead, Pratt.
I was gonna say just something that's kind of challenging a little bit is that that two perspectives. Like I know VP Harris was on TV and they asked her, "What would you change?" and she said nothing. And then Trump ran on, "It's broke and I'll fix it." And I think everybody here will say it's broke. So I think a lot of people in America acknowledge like it's broke and needed to hear somebody say it's broke.
Just say it.
Just say it. We all know it's broken, but I don't think people heard that message that it's broken and that way things are going right now, there's some serious issues. And like you're saying about having entertainers and people be our leaders and those other things, I think that was kind of an issue as far as who are you appealing to, And I just don't think. I think it could have been some changes, like Brother Badger said, in the strategy, who people appeal to, and the fact that you got to say it's broken. That doesn't mean that you got to acknowledge that. So.
Can I ask you this before you, Linnell? Before you go, do you think? And I'm throwing this question: do you think because of, or let me not say because of, do you think because he was white, a male, that he had the I can say it's broken versus if she would have said it's broken? Because when Michelle said something about America, about defending her husband, they went at her. If Kamala says it's broken, how do you think they respond versus him being a man, a white male, saying it's broken? Here, pass the mic. And then
keep it. I want you to answer.
No, because he. Oh, okay.
It's nuanced in the fact that when you ask the VP, she can't throw the president under the bus.
Okay.
Employment was the lowest it had been.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some other things that were going good from a certain aspect.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking the former president from 4 years ago to talk about what's broke.
Uh-huh.
Of course he's gonna say because he wanted to get the leg up. If you look at the indicators, the economy is doing great.
Based on right now.
All of the capitalistic things that unfortunately a lot of us don't participate in are doing well for white people.
Like what? Let me see that mic. I gotta hear this.
I want you to answer it, but I think
No, he'll pass it back because we need to hear this for real. You said what? Because we talking.
So it's hard because if you think about her seat, she's the vice president currently. Now,
right?
You asking the vice president now, who also happens to be running to be the president for the next 4 years, is America broken? And I think if she says yes, it's broken, that puts illegitimacy on her ability to run the country because she's throwing the current president under the bus.
Okay.
Right? So if she goes up there and says, yes, America's broken, it makes it seem like President Biden had not done a good job the last 4 years, which in fact he did. If you look at all the indicators.
That question was posed.
Yeah.
On several times.
But she can't say this isn't going well, right? And of course, a lot of the things about Gaza and all the other Ukraine stuff like that, if she goes down that rabbit hole, they're going to destroy her because of her connection to him. So I think it's a nuanced question that was unfair to ask her that question because she couldn't be as candid as she
couldn't
wanted to.
Give me those luxuries you talked about. You said capital. You said there are
Yeah,
luxuries.
I mean, so
then I want you to go
so
back
my
to
brother here brought up a great thing, and I
Let me
think this
see,
is
pass the mic, and I'll come back to you.
I think this is one of the things that's really important for black people to understand is that in the 60s in Milwaukee, you had the A.O. Smiths. You can go get a job straight out of high school. You could buy real estate. And then, of course, you had the freeway came through the system and took away a lot of that different stuff. And then we started integration, which we all know you can have your opinions about integration. I don't see a system that makes sense for us to have within the capitalistic system until we have a black agenda that lays out what benefits us as a whole. Because right now, some of us are using capitalism to get ahead. Others hate it. Some want socialism, which is why Bernie Sanders fit for some people back in, 2016,
the time when he spoke,
whatever.
yes.
But we have to have a simple foundation for black people to say these are the core things that we need to advance off of for the greater good of us. Because Linnell said it, about 20% of black people still voted for Trump. For whatever reason.
For those things in the narrative, you said that there was more money.
If I had to guess, it's economics.
Right.
Because he's a businessman at the end of the day. I'll be honest. When Trump was the real estate dude before he became president, I used to read his books.
All of us did.
I thought he was a great businessman.
Let me tell you, not only did we read his books, he was with every black event. He quoted, people were quoted. So
So I think we do need a system that makes sense. I don't know what it is, but it's not capitalism for the greater good of us. Because I feel like the policies that would have benefited us at a core for our families and our children's children were based in real estate and were based on entrepreneurship. And she tried to give that to us, but for some reason it wasn't accepted by all. So,
by all. Okay, go ahead, Frank.
I was going to say, let's say African Americans, I think we represent like 16% of the population, but the majority of America in an election, if the question is it broke, it's going to say it's broken. I mean, so that he just summed up a whole election. Is it broke? Yes or no? And Latinos said it's broke, and women said it's broke, and people said it's broken. So that the whole election came down to that question: is it broken? I can fix it. What's your plan? I don't know about that, but it's broken. Hey, but it's broken, and everybody says so. People in Detroit, he had a 10% increase in Detroit. They looking around, and this is broke. Yep. Well, so from the political side, it's not on point to say it's broken. You're right, but from a realistic side, you want to win. I don't know how you win without acknowledging that it's broken.
Go ahead.
Acknowledge something
Let me go to here,
broken.
Rich, real quick, because he was waiting a minute. Then just hold your thought. We good on time, Kings. Thank you. Rashad, if you want, you can jump over there. Seats over there if you could. You good? Okay.
Don Johnson again, and I just want to take it back, just listening to all the brothers' points. But something you asked us too, Kwa, was what did we see during this cycle? And something that we talked about the racism, we talked about the misogyny, but we haven't full-blown said it, and I want to say it here.
Yeah,
We
please.
also saw sexism. And that's just 1,000%.
Talk to me. So,
listen,
here, as we say with the young people, give me the receipts.
Listen, man.
I know them, but I would love to hear them.
Yeah, the receipts are this. And I brought it up to, and this is me speaking from Don's perspective of the conversations I had with the black men who I talked to. One of the most frustrating aspects of this whole election cycle was, why do I have to prove to you a black woman at that, can lead? And my rebuttal was, where your daddy at? Because your mama ran your household. I know you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to give him a applause.
Like, and that's not to tear down the black man, but I come from a generation of the government systemically destroyed the black family before I got here. So
You're referring to the Nixon administration.
The Nixon administration, the first
Well, that
Bush
was one of the main places that we heard it, yes.
Yeah, and so I come from a generation where I laughed, but I said, man, all that did was create a bunch of sassy dudes, you know what I'm saying? and all this sassiness, we got the gumption or the gall to say that women couldn't lead. And that's what was throwing me off. Where any black man who said, like I said, who I know, I come from a generation, and this is nothing. I'm proud to be a father. I know some men in this room, they are fathers, but my reality is my father wasn't in my life, and people my age, mid-30s to 50, fathers weren't in their life. And so it was a lot of these men going around talking about how women can't lead. You wouldn't be in this situation if a woman didn't lead you.
And I see you. Did anybody else hear that narrative? Because I heard it too, where I'm not. I heard a brother specifically say, "I ain't listening to no woman."
Like
Right?
in that,
Did anybody else hear that narrative? Okay, I just wanted to go ahead.
So yeah, it just, and that's the receipt for me. So that's what I saw. And when I saw that, for me, what was mind-boggling is that we were so, they were so blind by sexism that you made any excuse to rationalize the opposite. And for me, the accountability came to where Linnell's point, sometimes we even code switch with our own people, and you can, and far often than not, we don't hear that's bullshit. And so in a barbershop, when cats was like, oh, one dude told me, bro, that's why I ain't even vote. I told him to shut up. Like, bro, stop talking to me. You can't even play this game.
Hey, can I say this? Did anybody else tell somebody that said they want to vote? You like, you ain't got no you
told
you
that
have
man,
no
shut up.
receipt in this conversation. Anybody? I'm facilitating, but go ahead, Rich. But I did say to somebody when several people we was having a conversation with told me I'm not voting. I was like, then you have nothing to talk about. You out of this conversation because no taxation, no representation. You got to put some blood in to get some out. You know. So go ahead.
It was a lot of my vote don't count either.
Yeah.
I'm not going to exercise my vote because my vote doesn't count.
That's another part.
Not
of that.
knowing that it was several important local elections where your vote would have counted.
Which we gonna talk on. Was that an age thing, or was that because that's a demographic, that's an age piece. That's a generation thing too.
Being transparent, like my brother Don, it was people in their 20s and it was people up to their 60s that said that.
So it went through the gamut. Okay, Rich.
I mean, a lot of old
Linnell,
folks,
we'll
a lot of old
back
folks
to
would
Mike.
say they only vote for presidents anyway. But so to the economics piece, I agree that capitalism isn't the route to take, but cooperative economics. So when we start practicing Kwanzaa principles, cooperative economics is how we'll be able to begin to fortify our economic power. I do want to talk about the Democratic Party, particularly the Democratic Party of Wisconsin, and how they failed. Because, I mean, we can only talk about us here in Milwaukee. I mean, there's a whole national conversation that can be had, but we're not on the national platform. I would say that the Democratic Party of Wisconsin needs to be dismantled. I've been sharing a grievance about the Democratic Party of Wisconsin for years on how they operate and how they function. I would start with how, and I'm say her name, but I'm saying it in love because they did her so wrong. Senator Lena Taylor, how they did her was a representation of how they felt about the black community, because if Senator Taylor would have been Leonard Taylor, she would have been governor by now, right? Because the way that she was fighting for the community, the way that she was the voice for the people, whether they were in her district or not, she was always the stand-up representative in Madison for Milwaukee.
Yes.
But the Democratic Party wanted to silence her. So my feeling is that here you got Kamala, who essentially is another Lena Taylor. So in the public eye, yeah, they're fighting for her. They're saying yes, we're going to support her, this and that. But behind the scenes, they're like, hey, you know, there's a fear factor. The Democratic Party of Wisconsin has pushed this progressive agenda that's not about black folks. It's about everybody else. It's about the LGBTQ. It's about white folks. It's about young white folks. It's about saving planets and trees and all these other things. But black folks are not in that conversation. They're just not in that conversation.
Right. No.
When you look at the structure of the Democratic Party of Wisconsin right now, you have a lot of LGBTQ members that are in key roles. If they're not in the actual chairman role of the committee, they serve on the committee, so they're making decisions. A lot of black folks pay to the Democratic Party, but they're not participating in that party.
Right.
So at some point, either we need to come in and take over the party or create our own party. I would like the latter to happen, where we can create our own party. And years ago, you know this, Kwad, years ago, we were trying to do that.
Yeah.
But it's something that needs to be really discussed at some point in time, because the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, for that matter, for sake of conversation, is not pushing the black agenda, partly because we don't have one, but it's not pushing a black agenda where it's going to even be thrusting us ahead, even if it's an inch by inch type of process. The agenda that's being pushed right now by the Democratic Party is not trying to push black folks forward. It's trying to keep people in place, appease you enough where when we come to you every 2 years, you're going to still support our candidates.
Gatekeepers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go there. Go to you, Linnell, and then we'll come over here to Mike.
One of the other things, I know you're going to talk about this more, is if you mentioned some of the other people that have had the opportunity to get some, to weigh their political muscle a little more, right? We don't have a PAC. We don't have a political action. We don't have a political action committee that can push forward a black agenda. You mentioned LGBT. You mentioned some of the other interests. Now I want to call them special because it's a little deeper than that. But they have interests where the money from politics and policy is being in place to advance their agenda. One of the things I think is important for us to just understand is when you think about where we are as black people, if you look at how they come to us for the vote, is very similar to being an entrepreneur or a consumer, an owner or a consumer, I should say.
It's transactional.
Right? When they want to promote this new Benz, who they go to? They want to sell that new Louis purse, who they go to? When they need them votes, where they go? Right? But ownership, PAC, having the people to represent you, we don't have it in numbers where we can push forward an agenda that allows us to have a true voice and be at that table with the greater good in mind to advance us all. Like, we've had some people, like we had a black VP. Could she have just waved the wand and like everybody said, that's another narrative too.
What was that?
She's the VP. She could have been doing it the last 4 years.
Because did anybody hear that when they were saying, like, well, what she been doing? All that, right?
Why she ain't do nothing? Why she want to wait till now?
Playing her role,
right? So to me, I think that's the other thing. My brother brought up a really great point. Cooperative economics is how we going to advance, but we got to really be honest. Consumerism versus ownership, being a voter versus being involved in the actual process where you can be
break
creating.
That down. Voter and being a voter or involved. Can you break that down for me? 'Cause I love it. I just want voter involved.
I mean, look at the last several years. I mean, so I've been able to vote since about 2004, where I've been engaged. I go back to when Marvin Pratt went against Tom Barrett. Right? He was the interim mayor. I thought he should have won. I voted for him. He was my audit person. I thought he's a great person, but he didn't win. But since then, I feel like we've always been looked at as the consumer to put out the fancy marketing and help somebody else win versus lifting up a candidate that has our best interests in mind, right? So when you have ownership, we got a lot of business owners in the room. You make the decisions on how things are done. So I think they look at us, maybe in your experience, the Wisconsin Democratic Party looked at us in a certain way. Nationally, they look at it as a certain way. As a consumer, you just gonna help me get across the finish line, but you ain't gonna have no say so.
Right. So go ahead, Linnell.
So a couple of things. I'm gonna go back to Dr. Pratt's statement. I gotta say it, family. You earned that. Why didn't she say what she said about is it broken? She would have got seen as an angry black female. So I think that also interrupted.
Is that a stigma for? Is that because one thing we'll say about us as being black men, but if a sister is called, and you please tell me if I'm wrong, if a sister is called an angry black woman,
it sets off a whole nother level.
It says right. Okay.
Can't work for you no more. Can't do nothing for you. All that. So second tier, like when you think about, I think the Democratic Party, in my opinion, I kind of feel like they felt like they had us already. Like, no, we've done everything. We're trying to get everybody else now to help support what we already have done.
Right.
It was almost like an after effect.
Right.
So therefore, the work, and everybody has said it, what is the common black agenda? The PAC would be ideal. But the problem is, we don't even agree on what the PAC should look like. And so politically speaking, is it about economic wealth? Think about Brownsville before. You mentioned the A.L. Smith, the GEs, the Chalmers, that built black wealth in this city.
Was it black wealth or was it black stability?
Black wealth. Listen, when you talk, I'm about to say
I just threw that out.
every layer. Like when you think about like my first voting was 1990. So I grew up in that era where my daddy worked for GE. My uncle worked for GE. My other uncles worked for A.O. Smith. Being able to buy their own home. Live on a block there was neighbor black, neighbor black, neighbor black. Oh, I know I can't buy a house over there because I ain't black. And homeowners, like they own it, right? They own all of it. There was an agenda that said we got to get it and own it first. Then we're gonna like help you do this. That's why there was a big push for apprenticeship at that stage. Because if you went and worked, stability, wealth was gonna happen in this city.
So it starts trickling down.
It would happen, you know. So and it was a push for college because guess what? Now we have the money to send you to school. Now we can say, you know what? If it don't work though, you come work here and still make great money. So the agenda has to be really like discussed. It has to be agreed upon, and it has to be understood that there's going to be some nuances to it that we also have to agree upon.
Okay.
And we lost some of that, I think.
Okay. Go to Mike. Okay. So now, which takes me to this, where we getting ready to bring it home, and this is really important to me. I think when I heard Mark say Garveyism, all right, it is no question I'm black on purpose on everything I do. I really do. I call it a black ticket. What's a black ticket? I'm going to get my hair cut at G's. I'm going to go buy my incense, oils, etc. from Birdsong. I'm going to have lunch at Pepper Pot. I am going to shop at the local grocery store. I'm going to finish my evening at 502. When I look at my receipt, I've spent about $200 in my community that day, right? I call it a receipt check, right? I say every once a month, everybody should lock in and do that. Like, this is what we gonna do, right? With that being said, family, with everything we doing, I believe in independence. But now let's talk. One of the things I heard too is we need to cut directly and become independent. That's something I heard in our community. We need to directly cut and become independent, right? I wanted to ask you guys what we didn't hear from them that we should be talking about, but here's what I'm saying. If we all in this room right now and we have the ability, what's next when we say if we're gonna create a black agenda, what's something that has to be on that agenda? What's your name again, King? He said when you say black, Malcolm said that a long time ago. He said when you say black, that means Brazil, that means Portuguese. It's all across. It covers. When you say, nah, I'm this, that, or the other, you exclude yourself a little bit. When you say black, it's one all, right? If we were creating a black agenda, if we were creating a table that says, no, we're not coming to your table, because I'm a firm believer, if you set yourself on fire, they're going to come watch you burn. The block, they come by from where, and I have to use this analogy, they buy where it's popping at. Oh, we going over there. And we got to go over there. They got the girls, they got the clothes, they got the law. You better not even hit so-and-so cousin. Why? Because his cousin them is one of them guys, and it's going to be a problem. They don't have that fear of us, if I'm right. They don't have that fear from what they see. So if I had to go around this room amongst us in here, and we said, what does the black agenda need to have? What are 3 things, in your opinion? And I'm going to break it down to 3. Because if you make it too broad, I just want you 3 things that a black agenda needs to have to move forward. And anybody can jump.
So let me say
we'll
this.
Go here, and we'll go. We can go around the room, but do me 3 without explaining it, or we can just jump in wherever you see.
I'm not gonna give you 3.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit you with the 1 because my brother's story resonated something for me, and this is why voting is a part of this process. We got to understand the local politics just as much as the national politics.
Okay, so we got to think locally.
We got to think locally because that's what changes policies and everything.
I'll take that.
Economically.
Economics.
We have to figure out a way, again, that our dollars rotate, right? But then it stays here too. And what I mean by that is we got to live local too.
Yeah.
Like we can't have our dollars here, but then those with the dollars leave it, and then we don't teach our neighbor what that looks like, right?
Okay.
For me, 3rd is education.
So, yes, we should. Yes, give it up. So education school education, period.
Education across the board. And this is not just about, for Milwaukee Public Schools, this is about teaching our children. What does that look like? How do we ensure that the highest level of expectation is placed in teaching our babies? So for me, Politically, we have to own it. Like locally, I'm talking judges, DAs. I'm talking when my brother has an issue like that from the police. How do you file a complaint?
Comptrollers.
Let's come get them,
The
right?
comptroller is comptroller is probably the biggest.
Understand the money.
Yes, and that's the least amount of people we go vote. Comptroller.
And like people don't understand, like when you're thinking about like when we bring on our police chief, our fire and police commission has a say in that. Citizens have an opportunity to come and have a conversation with the fire and police commission. I sit on that. If I'd have heard that brother's story 7 times, hey, we got to talk to somebody. Let's file a complaint.
Okay.
So we have to have that as part of the agenda.
All right. So we said, Linnell, you said economics, vote locally, and education should be priority. Anybody
Absolutely.
else? 3. Go ahead, King. 3 things. Because I want to make sure where is that? Okay, Ishmael, and then we'll go to you. 3. What's 3?
I say the first thing we need is a black think tank.
What's a think tank?
Think tank.
What's a think tank? I love
Think
it.
tank is when you bring the community and your intelligent, those who have the ability. In every sector. We sit down and we discuss it, and we're going to bump heads. The thing with black people, when we disagree, we start to dislike each other. And in the corporate world where I came up, we disagree is just another day. Because at the end of the day, it has to get done. Period. We don't address that part. Our academics and our leaders and the people who are intelligent,
Speaking to the mic a little bit.
the people who are intelligent to have the actual experience, we shun them. We put them outside. And as a whole, no matter what your economic level is, at the end of the day, we are black. At the end of the day, you go to the hood or you go to River Hills,
There's no middle class. There's no S&A. We black.
we black.
Okay. All right.
And we should be able to do
Commonality.
business all levels.
So you're saying one, a think tank.
Yes.
Of thinkers,
Not
philosophers.
even, but common people, everybody.
But
not just
period.
thinkers.
Of
Yeah.
thinkers, period.
And it needs to be national. And every metropolitan area should have a chapter.
Think tank. So you're saying accountability?
Yes, a lot of accountability.
Accountability.
We let each other slide all the time, man.
Okay.
And then when we do hold each other accountable, we want to ridicule them in public. We want to ridicule them on social media instead of saying, "Hey, man, let's go sit down and have a conversation."
Okay.
We don't have to be friends, but we have to get the job done.
We have to get the job. So what's the third one?
I think after that, I think it's really education, but it's a financial education. It's not so much the college degrees. It's learning how real money, capital works, how collectibles work, asset protection, gems, gold,
The language. The language.
the know-how, not just the language. We can read a book.
But no, when I say the language, what I'm saying is when you're saying gems, you're saying wealth. That's why I asked the question: is it wealth or is it stability? Right? You guys can break that. You can break that down better than I can. But I'm saying when you know the language, when you're talking assets, when you're talking those things, most of our people know I pay my bills on the first, and that's all I do.
But we have been programmed, and this is something I learned at Jackson State. We have been programmed to be consumers.
HBCU. I see you throw the HBCU
We
out
have
there.
been programmed to be consumers. We have been programmed to follow whatever they say goes, whatever is popular. And once we get to a certain level, we tend to branch off. Like all of us, I know most of you in here, we are all fortunate in this room.
Yes, sir.
But then we may break away from our people who are not. We're not setting that example when we get up and go to work, or when we take our kids, our sons, and we show them love. Like me, I take all the kids in the neighborhood. I teach them how to fish. I teach them how to hunt. I teach them how to shoot a rifle. These are manhood skills. These are things that we don't know. What happens at the end of the day when something goes down? What are we gonna do? You gonna call the police?
Because that's them.
Reactionary. They're reactionary. They're not coming to stop anything.
Okay. We got 3.
I
Go
think
ahead, King. Let's
also
first give Ishmael a serious hand. I love it. Financial.
I think one of the most important things that we need is land.
Land. You said
That-
land? I
You
didn't
gotta
hear.
have land because
Okay.
out of land becomes industry. See, if you had your own land, then you can grow your own food. And if you can grow your own food, you can create an industry setting up supermarkets. Then you can create the brothers that drive, the CDL driver that can haul food. Then see, out of everything that we have, come out of land. Without land, you could never be free. I don't care how much of a revolutionary we can be. If we can never own the land, then you don't own nothing. There are 3 things that they said that they would never teach our people.
Tell 'em.
One, the science of business, the science of mating, and the science of warfare. Why the science of business? If I don't teach you the science of business, then I can always keep you a slave. I don't care how much of a revolutionary thinker you are. If you don't know how to actually feed and take care of yourself, then you always be a slave. We don't know the science of warfare. The ability, you could say, oh, I'm going to go against the white man, blah, 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 every day. But what happens when you run out of bullets?
Come on.
When you don't have the ability to actually know how to make your own weapons. What about the science of mating? Actually, how to choose a mate. We look at Elon Musk. This man got 11 different, all these different women pregnant with the idea of actually disseminating his genius down to 11 different children who could facilitate what his agenda. I think we should look at, and this is just something I would just as advice. Whenever you get a chance, go home and study the Cultural Revolution of China under General Mao Zedong. And what he did, China was a nation of opium addicts. And so what he did, he had his little green red book, and he grabbed all of the entertainers, all of the artists, all of the doctors, all of the scientists, and then began to infuse them all
With that language.
with an idea, and then they began to saturate the entire society under one idea. And over a generation, you see China as it is today. So for me, when brother was talking about a black think tank, we have to be able to, one, have enough unity among ourselves, where we can begin to fuse that in. So we gotta have land, we gotta have unity, and we gotta free the HBCUs.
Talk. Whoa. Let me say that. Say whoa.
We got to
break that down. Whoa.
We got to free the HBCUs.
What's free in the HB? I know where you at, but what's free in the HBCUs?
Free in the HBCUs is when the dollars that is needed for HBCUs to run in order to determine the direction that we want our people to go, we can actually fund that. So if we had some type of economic blueprint, I heard a man say that if we had over 40 million black people in America, if each of us were to give 5 cents a day, 35 cents a week, $1.40 a month among 40 million black people, which I mean, anybody have a nickel, right? $1.40 a piece that could come out of our check in the same way that the Social Security come out your check. They can go into an account where we can take care of our own people and determine the direction of our own future, where we can raise our children to be engineers, not engineers.
Yes.
Nation building.
That's nation building.
Nation building careers that enable us to actually free ourselves, and ultimately, it will release a burden from America. It will release the burden from any other sector where we can have the power to do these things for ourselves, man. We will always have this parental relationship with white people, because 99% of everything that we need, we get from them. Education, go to them. The clothes on your back, you gotta go to them. You want a new car, you gotta go to them. Everything that we need that has to sustain ourselves, we get from them. We don't make nothing that we own. So we gotta have land. That's a must.
Those are your three. And that quote is from Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. Go ahead, Pastor. Sorry. Powernomics with Dr. Claude Anderson. So for those who know, Dr. Claude Anderson, 2000-ish, he went throughout the country, and they were teaching those very principles. And he said they would do this. They would put each city would adopt these principles, and they come back 90 to 6 months later. 90 days to 6 months later to see who implemented it and see where it worked at. Gary, Indiana was one of the first places, and Gary is proof that it does. So I want to, before you...
With the point of Dr. Kwabena Antoine too, when we started to move, stay your ass off of social media. Real talk. Let's get it done and apologize later. But when you're always talking about what you're gonna do, they're gonna set up opposition. We need to learn how to shut the fuck up.
Guerrilla Army.
Do it.
Do it under it. Okay.
And apologize later. Once we get established, then it's all right.
All right.
But as soon as we got cameras going, we got this going, we're always talking about what we're going to do. And then there is people who watch leaders, all of our leaders. No matter, and probably everybody in this room in a position, they're watching your moves.
Of course.
The thing is, but we're too busy chirping instead of doing. We want the fame instead of putting in the damn work.
Do more, talk less.
Get established. Don't talk at all. Do it.
All right.
Then
I
we
was
can
gonna
explain
say.
it after it's established.
Okay. Go ahead,
I was gonna say.
Three
brother
things.
said, political action committee. I think we understand the politics, which is the allocation of resources. We got committees, we got fraternities, we got churches, we got these committees. We don't have the action. That's what, PACs, we got to have the action. We have to be able to follow through, have some steps where we are actively moving. So I think, politics, committees, a group of people getting together, but we got to have the action, and that's the main piece that I think we're missing.
Okay, all right. As we get ready to bring it home, I want to ask you this. My good brother stated that free HBCUs, right? And he's right. Some of our people can't make moves because they get their money. Amir Baraka, the great poet of our time, one of my great poets said, if you want to know the truth, follow the money. You follow the money. Because wherever they get their money from, that's the truth they're going to tell, no matter how it goes. And then I want to go to you where you said, Mayo did. He went and got all the artists and philosophers, and he made them fuse that into their work. 90s hip-hop, that was 90s hip-hop. Everything we heard in the late 80s, 90s, changed the whole way we went about. Farrakhan was working with Ice Cube. Dr. Leonard Jeffries worked with the Poor Righteous Teachers. Islam was starting to be fused in hip-hop. Ice Cube cut his Jerry curl off based on what he heard. No, I'm just saying, and it fused in. From the minute school days came out, HBCUs jumped. Black business owners jumped. That whole time, our message was infused. They co-opted it, so that changed the message. The message now is, gotta get mine, you gotta get yours, right? Now, if I ask you this question, Kings, and I really need to hear this from you, because we got young brothers in there. Marquise is, how old are you, Marquise? 25. I think Marquise and the young brother Aziz and several other young black men I know in this city are amazing brothers. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna just say this. Renell he's very humble right now, but this is an amazing dude for what he's doing and how you should give it up. Yeah. Listen, for what he's doing economically and how I've watched him move over the years of bringing back Washington High School, am I right? You volunteer and everything, right? Highlighting those guys who doing that. Why I'm asking this question, because I'm 55, so I feel like I'm gonna be honest, I feel like I'm on my way to that other part of it, right? What do we do now? What now? The election is over. It's finna happen. He's going in office. There's no way around it. They are going to get bolder about their actions. There's going to be more xenophobia. It's going to be that way. A lot of resources that we've known over the last X amount of years are going to dry up immediately. The guy said, when I walk through the door, I'm cutting, right? Now, but we've seen this time, and I'm just setting it up this way. We've seen this time before. You made a reference of Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. Ronald Reagan became president in 1980. The crack epidemic lasted he became president in 1980, and his regime didn't get out of office until 1992. 12 years. Crack flowed like never before. The sexiest, ugliest, darkest time in our history, all right? A lot of people got lost in that fire, all right? And all you have is fire, then all you got to make whatever you can out of the ashes. What do we do now? Kings, amongst you in this room, I'll look at all of you as thinkers, talkers, speakers. What's our next step? You got sons, you got nephews. I heard land. I understand about the political acts, but don't forget, in the hood, it's a whole population who like, I'll take this pill and I jump in this car, and they call it crash out. There's another population of black men who are not skilled, who are 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Whatever come their way, they going with. They say the most dangerous population in the city of Milwaukee is the 18 to 30-year-old population. They're 24 to 30. They're aged out of all social programming. Some are not skilled, and they are so far off the wire of the grid, as they say. They got their own they got their own thing. They said they're not voting. They saw no power in it, and they said they didn't vote. Lastly, we have the economics that we know on the streets. The greatest economy is on the block. It's the greatest economy. You could triple your worth in one corner. When you stand on one corner, you could triple your worth. From cars, I'm just saying, I'm being honest. If you go to work, you work, and from 9 to 5, you cannot triple your worth. If I stand on the corner from a 4-hour period, from a dice game to clothing to whatever I'm looking for, I can triple my worth. How do we, in this room as men, resonate that message? What's next? The election is over. What's our next step? 4 years from now, what is it going to look like, and what part can you play in it? That's a loaded question. But I need you to hit me with it.
So it's definitely a loaded question. I got two points. One, the question previously. I just want to add the intentionality of black banking.
The black what?
Black banking.
Okay.
So we have Columbia Savings and Loans right here. That's the last standing black-owned bank in the city of Milwaukee. We need to make sure that we're investing in it so that it can return its investment back to the community. To the current question, I would say, absence of men are going to make any community collapse. It's going to be the engagement of the alpha male. It's going to be the engagement of the man that's going to have to come in and show these young guys what to do. But it's not just coming in a one and done. It has to be, the relationships have to be established. There's value and consistency.
I love it.
They need to see how we move, how we walk, how we talk, how we do things. I'll use the analogy. One professional talked about the young elephants versus the bull elephant, and how they removed the bull elephant from the herd.
Yeah.
And the young elephants just
wild.
basically
It went
raped
wild.
the entire. They raped the desert. They took all the trees. They had no discipline.
Yeah.
And when they reintroduced the bull elephant was able to immediately check the young elephants and get everybody back in line and begin to be able to level everything back out so that everything was calm again. We're absent, man. You know what I'm saying? Like but the sad part is we're absent not because we want to be absent. We're absent because the brothers that are out here doing stuff are doing everything. We're getting called to go in every direction. There's only so many hours in a day.
Yes, sir.
And we can't be all things to all people. So we have to pick and choose those things that we can do. It's not like we don't love our young brothers out there. We see our young brothers out there fucking off, and we're like, damn, I'm on my way here, so I'm already locked in. Gee, yourself, all these brothers in this room wearing multiple hats, let alone some of us got wives and children.
Yeah.
The wives and children are almost secondary to the other shit we got going on.
Ooh.
So it's hard to sit up here and say, well, we need to do this. We know what we need to do. The question is, how do we get it done to the level that it needs to be done?
What's the greatest skill you can offer?
The greatest skill I can offer is bridge building.
Bridge building. So let's do that then. Let's go around this room. Everybody, tell me what's the greatest skill you can offer. I like that, bridge building. Go ahead, G.
Well, first, before we go to that, I would say what we really need to do is start more elementary, if you will.
Say it again, G.
We have to start it more elementary, if you will.
Okay.
By, instead of having individuals come to give their insight and stuff, I think right now we need to educate ourselves. I'm serious. I think we need to have more like book clubs, if you will, amongst men.
Think tanks.
We'll get a book, get a group of individuals, read this book that we feel will educate, inform,
I love it.
Advise. All of us read it. Make sure everybody read the book in its entirety. Come here. We come here.
Yes,
we
sir.
come here to the Cigar Lounge, man,
Yes, sir.
and talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Educate individuals. Now you got individuals coming and giving their input with real knowledge of different experiences, things that's happened in the past, that could be used now. But I think now, we really need to educate ourselves. We really do, man, because we are so easy to grab on to whatever popular, whatever tag,
I love it,
whatever
G.
sound good and such, because you read a lot. Jamie, you read a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why not? Those books that that really imparted a lot in you, that you really got a lot out of it, that really was like life-changing material.
Yeah.
My God, why not expose that to as many brothers as you possibly can?
So a community library almost.
Man, the community library, hey,
Yes, sir.
extremely
yes, sir.
important.
Give him a hand. Show some love. Anybody else? What's the skill?
Right here. Go ahead.
Okay, Mark, and then we're going to go ahead. What can you bring? And so G, Mark, myself, me and Mark, and said, prior to Black, we was trading books. We had a son. We was Sunday. We was linking. Some.
You put it in the group text. You got to get in the group text. You got to get in the group text. You got to get in the group text.
Mark, I thought we was cool.
You know,
I send you stuff, man.
you,
I got you.
We all can do that.
Yeah, and to that question, I think the simplest thing I could come up with is unity. Unity, and meaning by that is like, you know, just like our generation, we had guidance. We did have guidance. Somewhere in our generation, we stopped the guidance. And then again, the guidance are like Linnell does. We got to get back into mentoring because the Black man is being the absence. We got to get back in that role because of how society knocked us out. We got to get that unity and back again with mentoring. He got a mentoring program and able to give it to all of us. You see what I'm saying? So we should also sign up for mentoring, setting aside time in all those lives that we lead, just like we do. We participate in Real Men, Real Talk.
Yes, sir.
We participate in Cigars and Conversations. We participate in the barbershops. We just got to be present, and that's when the action comes, from talking to then into the action, just getting back into unity.
All right. Anybody, Mike?
And holding everybody accountable.
Hold accountable. Pass that to him real quick before you go right now, because Mike wanted to say something. Oh, go ahead. I'm from King. Go ahead.
Okay,
Then you go
just
Mike.
Mark kind of covered what I was going to say, but just raising up young leaders, giving them courage to step out and to speak up. In my neighborhood, there's a lot of young men. There's two fathers. We're always speaking to the young men that are in the neighborhood, and we talk to them about
Two
courage.
fathers about how many in the neighborhood?
Eight young men.
Okay.
We talk to them about courage and perseverance and what that looks like. And they receive it well. So, they've all made improvements. And I don't think they would have had it not been from just our leadership and the little organization that we do in the neighborhood. So I think, spending time with these young men, you don't have to be their father to be a father to a child.
Say less. Go ahead. Mike?
Just touching back on what Mark said, everybody in this room, and we know other people that are doing this work, but we can only do so much. You got to figure out a way to cast a broader net so that we get more men involved. And I don't know how that happens, but that's something that we got to figure out. I think that's what's lacking right now, and that's what's been lacking for years, actually. Because when you think about it, and they say, generations, we didn't do enough for this generation coming up, but it's because, like you said, everybody got household responsibilities and everything. You overworked, so you got to find a way to spread that responsibility.
All right. Right. And please do this as you say yours, Tark. Yeah. I want to highlight this. That was one of the most amazing things I've been to when I went to Nashville with Tark. He had Dr. Pratt. I'll let him tell you, but just to watch that whole room, because he broke the myth where they say fathers are not. Because here's a myth that we didn't say. Black fathers are not present in their children's lives. Greatest myth ever, because forget the statistics. You can see it clearly, right? But he'll tell you more about it. But I went into and saw what he did. Break it down. Go ahead, King.
I think part of it, man, the premise is just based on permission by presence. You know what I mean? And they need to be able to see that, this place that we are in right now existed in his mind, and he made it happen.
Come on.
But kids need to see that. They need to have an interaction with him. They need to have interaction with all of us. And the main thing is they're going to be what they see, man. If they see people selling dope, they're going to sell dope. If they see people beating women, they're going to beat women. But they got to see us in a real and a positive light and our best. And I think for the mentoring thing is that we got to understand that we don't have to be perfect men to mentor.
Wait, clap, wait. Please clap your hands for that.
We don't have to be perfect. We just bring the best part of ourselves, and that's not being fake. I can mentor you in basketball. That's what I'm good at. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let everybody else handle that other thing over there about the marriage or whatever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whatever you are into or whatever you do well, you can mentor that piece, and then just empowering those other men to come together and do things like this, because we're going to get together and watch the Alabama game or the Packer game. We doing it anyway. But can we, after or before, talk about some of the things that we need to do? Because when you get, with my program, we had 66 men come in and read to some kids, and man, the kids was just quiet. And I asked the kids, I said, how many of y'all been in a room with a man who has read to y'all in the past month? 2 people raised their hand. It was about 50, 60 kids in there, but they haven't done it. And I'm not talking about going and taking them on college tours and all that. I'm just talking about sitting down and reading a book. And we make the program 45 minutes because everybody got something to do. Come in, leave, mentor, eat breakfast with the kids, and leave. But they see that permission by presence, and then after the second interaction, they say stuff like, how did you start your barbershop? I think I want to do that. And they start asking those questions, but if all we see is the presence that we see is King Von, or if we just see that, then that's what we're gonna be.
That's what it be, man. So Kings, look, give yourselves a round of applause, man. Look, we getting ready to get out of here. I just have to get this from you. Trauma is real too, and I think we need to address that when we're dealing with us as black men. To ignore trauma when it deals with black boys is it's almost a sin, because if we went through what we went through, and you talking about them, I mean, when they can say, yeah, my cousin got shot, he got shot like 5 times, and they say that, am I right, Mike? It's his norm. It's no big deal. Oh yeah, my uncle got, my uncle doing 20 years. That's a part of their conversation. How do we change the conversation? Yes, sir. No.
I'll say this, first of all.
And also, Lionel, speak about mentoring real quick also.
So real quick, and Dr. Pratt hit it on the nail. Remembering, mentoring is very simple. There's 3 key elements, right? 1, come in being vulnerable. I gotta be where I'm at, what I went through, right? Second thing, share my story. My job is not to share Renell's, G's, Qua's, what I went through. And the third thing, I gotta understand cultural competency, meaning I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. I don't know nothing about this 2015.
Whole other time. You don't know Lil what's the name?
Bro. We have to understand, that's the simplicity of mentoring. When our uncles, our daddies, and the neighbors mentored, they mentored in the now. Wasn't no internet. Wasn't nobody else telling us anything else. We knew what they knew because that's everything we knew. We got to speak from what we know as men and not infatuate or change to hit likes. So, got to stay there. I think the second thing is, we have to remember too, is with trauma, stop thinking trauma has different grades and levels.
It's trauma.
My kids grew up in a two-parent home, 2 cars, degrees. They had trauma. So as a man, as a father, I had to apologize for any harm I may have created for that trauma. Had nothing to do with a gunshot at times, even though they saw their friends die.
But it's a difference.
So with that being said, sometimes we take some of our black men in particular,
minimize it,
and say, bro, yo, man, you know your mom and your daddy. But you don't know what I went through. The anger. So when we're working with our black boys, or in general kids, and you're in front of them, own what you know and respect what they went through.
Own what you know.
Because when you do that, they're able to then live a life that says, you're listening to what I went through, not what social media tells you what I should have went through.
This matters. King,
so,
look,
and that's important.
Give everybody a round of applause. Look, do me a favor. Go around the room and just finish this. We show young men, people gonna watch this, but it's important right now. You said they can't be what they've never seen, right? That's G is my brother, and I mean that on so many levels. And Targ is my brother. One of the great things G did for me about 2 years ago, he made me get on the boat. And there's a picture of me on the boat with my hands up, and somebody put #BlackManJoy. I need y'all to do this, family. We going into the new year. We don't know what the next 4 years look like. But happiness is when you got. Joy is a state of grace. You find joy in whatever. The man was in Rwanda and all his friends was being murdered. He went on the roof with him and his wife. They had 2 Heinekens and a sandwich, and he said, "This is joy amongst the gunshots." Joy is a state of mind. What is black man joy to you? Just give me one word. Or image? What is black man joy? We're gonna go around the room. This is how we going home. Black man joy is.
Black man joy is forgiving yourself and then living for the future.
Pastor Lynn?
Being authentic in every situation and freedom.
I think black man joy is forgiveness of self and others.
King?
I think black man's joy is to see each other, defend each other, and protect each other at all costs.
My man, I love it. G Money.
Be your authentic self without worrying about what anybody is saying or thinking about you.
Come on.
I think black man joy is to have a legacy and leave something behind.
I think black man joy is empowering yourself, your family, and your community.
Black man joy is embracing the good and the bad, knowing that you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, and it's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show that emotion. It's okay to show that sadness, but it's also when you're happy, it's okay to enjoy that too. It's a balance. That's what life is.
Cuff?
Black man joy is
Speaking to the
seizing
mic.
opportunity.
Black man joy is loving on your family and taking true leadership of your household.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Black man joy is 2 parts to me. Giannis, I was watching this movie, and he said the difference between a hero and a coward is how you navigate fear. And so black man joy to me is having faith over fear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Black man joy to me is having gratitude.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, family, give it up. Family, this is the last one of the year. I thank you all for being a part of this, man. Black man joy for me is, my good brother is here, is this right here. I love brotherhood, man. I love when we get together. And what even makes it more, when we put these pictures on Facebook and other men see this and they say, "Kwa, how can I be a part of that?" That's black man joy for me. So as I get out, my only statement to you is this. There's faith and there's hope. We hope that Kamala would have won. We hope that things will change. So here's what I have to close with that. Hope is the lottery, faith is the work. You hope it don't rain, but my faith is saying I'm gonna have my umbrella. Forget your hope, work on your faith. That's how we win. Peace, power, and prosperity, man. We out of here. Happy holidays, happy new year. And it's not Thanksgiving, it's celebrate family, not colonize. Now let's stop. All right. It's a wrap.